All right, everybody, welcome back to GMA3, and there is some encouraging news we can report, yes, in terms of the pace of vaccinations here at home. That's according to the New York Times. The U.S. is now averaging 1.2 million doses a day, on track to meet President Biden's initial target.
With that, the president suggesting just yesterday he is hopeful the country could soon increase that daily average by 50% to 1.5 million shots a day. So let's check in with one of the states working very hard to get those vaccines into the arms of Americans, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. Governor Kemp, thanks for being with us. Georgia has administered so far close to 675,000 vaccinations. My parents got theirs this weekend. Very happy to say they're in the state of Georgia. Okay. Yesterday alone, 18,000 doses. How satisfied are you with the current rate of vaccinations in your state?
Well, we've certainly moved the needle over the last week. We've doubled our output of vaccinations to almost 250,000, so we were up 50% as well. I think now that we've got that steady supply coming, we've caught up with our reporting. We also had issues with the CDC website early on, so our data was lagging a lot of the other states. We knew we were giving more vaccinations than was being reported. And now that's up to speed, so we're moving the needle. We're also preparing for the day when we can get more supply, and that's really what I think Georgia and many other states need right now. We could use excess supply. We have incredible demand. Publix went online this morning for next week's shots, and they were booked up for the whole week in less than 45 minutes. So if we had more supply, we could certainly do more than we're doing now. But until we get that, we're just going to keep getting every dose we get out as fast and safely as we can. But we're also preparing for a day when we have more supply, whether it's Johnson & Johnson coming on board, increased capacity from Pfizer and Moderna, or whatever the case may be. We just haven't heard what that's going to look like yet.
Governor, you mentioned supply several times in your response there. Do you expect, and have you even seen already, a difference in what your state is able to do in cooperation on the federal level now that we're just barely a week into the new administration?
No, we haven't. I mean, our supply has been very steady, about 120,000 doses a week. And we feel like that's what we're going to get for the next couple of weeks. So no new supply there. So our goal is to continue moving the needle very quickly on the current supply we have. The one good thing that will help us with the expanded population that we did even before CDC on the 65 years and older, in addition to first responders and those on the front lines from a medical perspective, is our nursing homes, long-term care facilities, and those, the Walgreens and CVS are basically done. We have over 99% of our facilities that are finished. That'll let us redeploy about 40,000 doses a week that we're going to those facilities to the general population. But we still have incredible demand. We have 2 million people that are in that expanded criteria, and we've given, around 600,000 doses. So we have a long way to go, which is why we need more supply. But currently, we just don't think we're going to get that. We're going to do what we can with what we got and prepare for the day when we do get more.
You're also dealing with the financial crisis there in your state, as we are across this country and around the world. Georgia has been able to lower its unemployment rate down to 5.6% last month. I know the state has added jobs as well, but you know that so many people are still suffering. Do you support the stimulus plan, this next round of checks that the Biden administration is trying to push through?
Well, I don't really know what that's going to look like yet. I know they're starting to debate that. We'll see where that goes. I kept saying, with the last stimulus plan, we were in great shape in Georgia because we methodically reopened the state early. We haven't wavered on that. We're doing two things here. We're fighting to protect lives, but also livelihoods, and we know how important that is for people to be able to pay their rent, buy food and groceries and medicine for their family. It's incredible what our economy has been doing. We've been having record announcements through the Georgia Department of Economic Development in the middle of a pandemic. Our job numbers are up 40% from last year. For the first half of this year, our the level of investment, the dollars in investment that's coming to our state, is up 47% from last year. So we're doing incredibly well here. We still have that certain part of the population that has gotten hit by the pandemic, obviously with large employers like Delta Airlines, travel, hospitality, the service industry. Our budget here, thankfully, because we reopened, hasn't been hit as severely as other states, and so we're putting money into marketing and helping continue to reopen that one small part of our economy that's still having a hard time. But all in all, we're doing great here. We just got to keep our foot on the gas, get the vaccines out, keep people to doing the right thing with social distancing, wearing their masks, so we can get back to normal in our whole economy.
And you are a state governor whose name has been on the national stage for quite a bit, and that's because of your relationship with President Trump, or I guess a breakdown in that relationship. He actually said he was ashamed that he endorsed you. He has called on you to resign because you would not try to overturn the election results in your state. And even the New York Times has written now that Mr. Trump's deepest hostility is reserved for you. Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia, advisors said they expect he will expend the most energy trying to damage Mr. Kemp's re-election bid. He says he's ashamed that he endorsed you. Do you feel the same, knowing what you know now, about endorsing him as strongly as you did? And is there any chance you would accept his support again?
Well, look, I supported the president going into November 3rd. I'm glad that you realize that. A lot of people, I think, question that. But there's no doubt I worked hard for him because I felt like the policies and things that we'd worked on together. President Trump and I agree with many more things than we disagree on. Obviously, reopening our economy when I did was one of the things that he disagreed with me a little bit on. But we've worked with him on things like human trafficking. Making sure that our economy is great. I supported him when he cut taxes. I think this new administration, if I had to guess, is going to go in a different direction. His strong stance on China versus the new administration really sending signals already that they're going to be weak. I believe what the president believes. We need to bring jobs back to America. We don't need to have foreign countries be able to monopolize the supply chain of medical supplies and PPE, which is why last year we passed a PPE tax credit. We're going to work on a medical device and pharmaceutical one this year because I believe we need to bring those folks back on shore, have those jobs in Georgia and in the United States. That's the same thing that President Trump believed in. We passed 50 health care bills in Georgia over the last 2 years, and we got approved for 2 health care waivers to be able to go around healthcare.gov and really reform health care in our state, which is something that the president's administration worked with us on to do. So I think we agree on much more than we disagree. I'd love to have his support, but I'm going to run on a record. Georgians vote in this race, and I'll take my record to the Georgia voter, and I feel like I'll do very well with that. And I think don't want to put words in your mouth, but given what we saw on Capitol Hill, given that insurrection, given what many feel the role President Trump played in it, you don't have any qualms about the strong support you gave him. And I just heard you say you would still accept the support of the man who said he's ashamed he endorsed you. Well, I think when you talk about what happened on Capitol Hill, my record's been very clear there. I spoke out that day with the lieutenant governor and the speaker, and that was uncalled for. It was un-American, outrageous. I think I said all of those things. We didn't allow that to happen in Georgia during the civil disobedience that we saw while there was many peaceful protests going on this summer, and we didn't allow that to happen going into the inauguration. And I'll let my record speak for itself.
Governor, I'd just like to ask you, though, your reaction personally. I know as a politician, people say you have to put on your Teflon skin and deal with a lot of incoming. But what has it felt like to read and see not only what President Trump has said about you, but what many of his fervent followers have said about you as well, that they are going to make it their mission to make sure that you are a one-term governor?
Well, I'm not too worried about what you all and others are following in the national news. I'm focused on my job as governor here in Georgia every day. As you know, we got a lot of issues that people are worried about here. We're going to be working on election reform here in the state this legislative session, but we're also going to keep our foot on the gas to get the vaccine out, to make sure that we get our numbers, which are going in the right direction on COVID, continue to going downward. I've been focused on our hospital bed capacity, working with hospital CEOs so any Georgian that needs care can get it, and that's been the case throughout the whole pandemic. And we didn't have to shut down our economy and ruin a bunch of people's lives by trying to do that. We did both. And I think that's what Georgians want me to be focused on. You know, when you're governor in the middle of a pandemic and times like we've seen in our country and what we saw happen with the insurrection of the state capitol the other day, these are tough times to govern in. I haven't pointed fingers at others. I've just simply done my job because I know everybody's making tough decisions. I'm going to continue to do that here in Georgia. I ran on making sure that we put hard-working Georgians first, and that is what my commitment has been and will continue to be, versus worried about what someone or some national news media organization saying on some political situation.
All right, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, we appreciate your time. We know you're a busy man, so thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.